Howdy do, and welcome back to another episode of, I guess we'll call this benchtop prospecting. It's snowing pretty darn hard out there right now, so here we are. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to run this material. I classified all this down to a 1/4 inch minus. I got to hit the pause button real quick. I just said that I classified down to 1/4 inch minus. That is true, but here's all the 1/4 inch minus stuff. The stuff I'm running is actually -20 mesh. So I just wanted to jump in and clarify that just for the record. What this is from is, I'm not sure if I've posted some of these videos or not. Towards the end of the season, I bought a Keen A52 used off from my friends at High Plains Prospectors. And, sorry, cat distracts me. I knew I liked that sluice. I just had never bought one because I think, as I explained or you'll see when I run these videos, that I've never been big on sluicing because, mostly because I didn't know how to do it right. My first experience with a sluice box was not very good. Something I picked up off from eBay, and I don't think the riffles and all that were set up right. My friend Dave had an A52 a few years back. I saw him drop it in the water and start shoveling into it, and it was catching gold. So since then, I've always wanted one. I just never pulled the trigger on one. I was pretty happy to run the gold traps. That being said, I saw this one used from High Plains. I picked it up. Then I put Dream Mat in it. And that was a game changer for me. Sorry, cat's playing in the tub of water here. That was a game changer for me. And through some of my experimentation, I was just shoveling. I don't like to classify on the river. I don't think that's any secret. If you watch my videos, I believe it's a waste of time. And if you can find something to run that you don't have to classify with, that's a big deal. You run so much more material in a day without having to waste time classifying. So I started just shoveling right into the A52 raw material. The whole point of this story is this material right here is from a whole bunch of tailing samples that I took home. I've got like 4 buckets worth from different areas. All that matters is that we don't see any gold in this material. So we're gonna run this through the newly acquired Water Warrior because it's pretty fast. Every time I have to clean the bucket out, we'll do a cleanup on this and we'll see if there's any gold. Do I expect to see some gold in there? Yeah. Do I expect to see a lot of gold in there? No. I think that even running raw material, unclassified material through the Dream Mat, I think it catches a lot of gold. I was pretty happy with the results I was getting day to day. Cat's still in the thing. Here. What are you doing? She's got both paws right. That's usually why I have it covered most of the time, so she doesn't jump in and take a bath. That's great. Now my shirt's all wet. All right, now I'm wet. Let's get going. Let's start running this. It's going to take me some time to run through it. So we'll do a little bit of video. Maybe I'll run through how I set this up real quick again, in case you didn't see the initial video on this. Super easy to set up. I've already got it set at a sort of an 8-degree pitch. I'll show you a quick way to, if you don't have a pitch gauge or don't have an app on your phone, quick way to rough this thing in. Let's get going. Okay, quick way to determine if we got the pitch set right is to add some water right into this second riffle down here. And what we want to have is that water line has to be up around this line right here. So this line is pretty flat. And then as it makes the transition and increases its pitch, before this water goes over here, we want it level between those 2 points. That's roughed right into about an 8-degree pitch on this, and that's right where we want it. So I think we're good to go. If you're running Cape D, or if anybody knows of a good place to buy some Cape D pay dirt, let me know, because I think I'd like to buy some and compare it to the Black Poison that Jason sells. But if you're running that Black Poison or Cape D stuff, you're going to want to run this at a little lesser pitch and run this up about 3/8 to half an inch farther. Reduce your pitch on that. And this will run that material. It's just a lot slower. And I think that just goes without saying with that kind of stuff. All right, let's get to running this thing. First, little coffee. This comes with a 750 gallon an hour pump, but right now I have it hooked to a 500 and it runs a 500 just fine. With the 500, I'm running roughly between 7.5 and 8 volts on the speed control. I don't normally run... Well, this ought to be interesting. Hey. That's not your drinking fountain. You're not helping me. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, I don't normally run my pumps off from a constant 12 volt battery. I have a, just in case you're wondering what my setup is like, I have 100 amp power supply under the bench that feeds a speed control that looks like this. This one just happens to look like that. Got a little digital display to tell me what volts I'm running. These can take up to 40 amps, even though these terminals I think are only rated for like 10. That's the only beef I have with this thing. Pretty much any speed control is the same way that I've purchased. I'm going to change this configuration around a little bit so I can quickly move my jumpers around. Hey. Okay, what a menace, but she's a cute menace. I forgot what I was saying again. Oh, I'm going to be able to move my jumpers around so I can run a straight up. Well, it'd probably be 14.5. I think that's what I have the control output at, just so I can overspeed my pumps a little bit if I need to. Kind of handy. Anyway, let's quit talking and start feeding this thing. So it looks like it's running just a little bit slow. We'll don't jump this up to 8 volts. Yeah, I like that a little better. Oh, my hand's getting in the way here. It cleans out a little faster. My helper's not helping very much here. Yeah. You pointing out some gold? Is that what you're trying to do? Now, if you didn't see my first video, this is a pretty much a drop riffle design. However, it's sort of backwards from what you're used to. The riffle slant with the flow, and the wall on the back side of the flow is higher than the wall on the front side, where usually it's the other way around. Usually it tapers up to the riffle a little bit. And do I still have that geo sluice? So if you were to compare this geo sluice to the Krieger or the Water Warrior, you can see that on the back side the riffles are slanted up with the flow. On this one, they're slanted down with the flow. The riffles underneath on this oppose the flow, and the riffles on the bottom of this are with the flow. So if you want me to get into the technical details of why that is and all that good stuff, well, you're come to the wrong place, because I can't explain it. And I did ask the creator of this thing, and he started to get into it with me. That was a mistake. Went right over my head right off. All I know is it works. And one of the advantages of it, like I pointed out in my last video, is if you overfeed this thing, the higher back wall on the back side of that riffle kind of catches the material, and it sort of self-feeds it to the other riffles. So unless you're really hammering this thing hard, this thing sort of settles itself out. It won't take an awful long time to run this material. However, I am going to probably have to stop twice, because my catch bin in my water basin only holds so much. That'll give me a chance to get a feel for how much gold is it that I missed. Not that I missed, that the Dream Mat missed. Now the whole point of this is we don't want to see gold. One of the things I like to do with this, the way to clean it out, I'll drain all the water out of it, and then we'll go riffle by riffle. See where the gold's at, if there is any. That's all the material that's in there. Do a quick pan. No gold. That was riffle number 5. Riffle number 4. No gold. Riffle number 3. Same thing. No gold in that one either. So far, I'd say the Dream Mat's doing pretty well. This is where we start coming down to the old brass tacks. Well, no gold in that one either. Riffle number 1. Pretty much all these concentrates were either from Buffalo Brook or Broad Brook. I was able to take, oh, there's a piece of gold. 1 piece of gold so far. I was able to take more from Broad than I was from Buffalo just because I can park a lot closer. Off the... There you go. That's 1 piece. 1 tiny piece so far. That's pretty darn good for the amount of gold that I got on the other end of it and for shoveling into that thing raw. So I did about half this pan so far. It only took me, I'm guessing, 15 or 20 minutes. I wasn't paying attention on time, so maybe I'll time this other half. So let me dig my catch bucket out of here. I'll put it off into a separate pan so I can keep track of it. Put this all back together and we'll crank it up again. I don't know if you saw it, but I pulled this thing out with the miller table. I can set it up right on the edge so there's no splashing. This also acts as a baffle in there. It dips down into the bottom of this catch pan and acts as a baffle, so this stuff doesn't just go blowing out of this catch pan. All right, turning on the camera for the last little bit of this. Whoops. I'm talking about overfeeding it. There, that took just about, let's see, I timed it, just about 12 minutes. Not bad for half that pan. That's pretty fast. We'll let this run a little bit and clean it out, and then we'll be back to, we're going to clean up riffle by riffle again. Riffle number 5, no gold. Riffle number 4, no gold. Riffle number 3, I can tell the suspense is killing you. No gold. Riffle number 2, no gold. And riffle number 1. Oh, there's a little tiny piece of gold right there. Right off the end of my finger. Whoops. That is wicked small. Tiniest of tiny fly poopy right there. I would say that that's a win for the Dream Mat. I did my best to grab these samples from the best places where I thought that the gold could get caught coming out of that thing. And all different times through the course of running that Dream Mat, I was taking shovel-sized samples and throwing them off into a bucket. And a lot of that came from, I think, Broad Brook, where I did a lot better on the gold too. So I was catching a lot more gold. We were in a pretty decent spot. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with how Dream Mat performs just shoveling that stuff right in there. I would not hesitate getting out there and just running that stuff without classifying. We're going to try something here. I was just going to leave the video alone at this point. We're going to try a little something here. I have all this material that I classified between half and quarter. The man who created this, John, said you can run 1/2 inch minus. So we're going to run this material. I don't believe that there's any gold in it because I don't think I saw anything that big. But you know what? We're going to run this and we're going to see what it does with this size material. You know what? Since the gold is probably a little bigger and heavier, I'm going to crank this up just a hair. We're going to go to 8.5 volts. Give it a little more flow. So I just grabbed a little piece. We're going to use it as a little test piece. So we know that there's 1 piece in here. This is kind of a distinctive looking piece. So we're not going to, just in case there's another nugget in here, which I don't think there is, we're going to use that as our test piece to make sure this thing's catching gold at this. And if I lose it, then I'm going to have to run all my material again. And it did catch it. It's right there. We'll keep an eye on it to make sure that it doesn't, well, even if it gets pushed off there, could catch it in the next one. Oh, look at that. We got a serious backup going on here. And you say overfeeding it? All right, as much as I'd like to see a big nuggie in here, I don't want to see a big nuggie in here. I'd have to call Dream Mat and get my money back. There is one nuggie in here, but we put it in there, so we'll get that one out of here for now. That was riffle number 5, by the way. There's no gold in there. I'll say it again, classifying on the river, I don't think is necessary. Classifying in your gold room, I think is necessary. Makes your job a lot easier. I guess it's not necessary. Riffle number 4, it's not necessary, but it makes your job a lot easier. No gold. Riffle number 3, no gold. Riffle number 2, no gold. And for the moment of truth, riffle number 1, no gold. Well, since we're running this material, we'll just keep running it. I'll clean this stuff out. We'll run the rest of this bucket. I think I've run about half of it, but we'll run the rest of it just for the heck of it since we're up and running, and we'll see if we have gold. All right, that's the last of it. Riffle number 5, no gold. Riffle number 4, no gold. Riffle number 3, starting to sound like a broken record, no gold. Riffle number 2, no gold. And riffle number 1, no gold. Well, that be all for this video. Are you sick of seeing this kind of video yet? I'm not sick of showing them to you. I believe that Dream Mat really works, and it really works well. Like I said, all that stuff that we just ran was from different tailings out of that thing at different times. Didn't wait till the end of the day and just scoop tailings off the top. I was trying to collect them as I went. What'd we find? 2 little tiny specks of golden and all that. I have a lot more to go through. That's not even half, I don't think, of what I got. But if that sort of maintains that sort of capture rate, I can't even calculate the percentage, because I find that pretty solid proof that not classifying material and just running it raw over that Dream Mat's not hurting a thing. It's worth it to me to lose 2 little tiny pieces and run so much more material and get so much more gold at the end of the day. So that's it for now. Until the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. And if you want one of these water warriors, I will leave a link in the description below. Not sure if his website's up and running yet to buy directly off from it, but I'll include the email, and you can always go to the website and hit him up through the contact us and email him and tell him you want one of these. Great little cleanup tool. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. Y'all take it easy. And don't forget, live long and prospect. See you on the next one. See you, bye.